Hi everyone, and welcome back to West End Best Friend. And today we're joined by another very, very special guest from the cast of South Pacific, currently on its UK tour. We're here with Gina Beck. Welcome to West End Best Friend.
Hi, just excuse the Peter Rabbit wallpaper in the background.
It doesn't need excusing, it needs celebrating, I think. That's fantastic. I didn't quite see exactly what it was, but hello. Welcome to West End Best Friend. So you're currently in South Pacific, which is regularly regarded as a classic of musical theatre. But for the younger fans out there, potentially, who may not have heard of it or don't know what it's about, what can people expect from this show?
They can expect to recognise some songs that maybe they didn't know were in it, such as Wash That Man Right Out of Your Hair, very, very, obviously a very popular song, and some Enchanted Evening. There's lots of songs that you'll go, oh yeah, no, I know this one, if you're not actually, aware of the score already.
Yeah.
But also, it's a big classic musical. You know, it was made into a film. It was a huge hit. All those Rodgers and Hammerstein films are. And now Daniel Evans has kind of given it a kind of modern, fresh look. It's still a big, sweeping, big, epic musical, but it's, he's made it a little bit more modern for today's audiences.
Yeah, it really is exciting, and I've been lucky enough to see it while it was in London, and it really is on this large kind of almost operatic scale, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Very slightly operatic, but also fun.
Yeah, so what's it like working on like such a classic show that's had so much history behind it? What's it like working on a show with such a legacy?
It's amazing, and it means a lot to a lot of people as well, which is incredible. We every day we get people saying, oh, this is the first musical I ever watched, with my dad, who's now died, all that kind of everyone has a memory of it, especially the older generation. So it's really lovely to kind of bring it back to audiences.
Yeah, now, and of course on the West End now we have all the new musicals like Six and Hamilton, Back to the Future, even there's things like that. Yeah. But in your own words, kind of why is it still important that we acknowledge the classics of musical theatre still today?
Well, of course, it's where we all came from, where the genre started.
Yeah.
And Rodgers and Hammerstein were such a unbelievable duo. Oscar Hammerstein, he won a Pulitzer Prize for the lyrics and for the book, and they both had extremely kind of ahead of their time values and messages they wanted to express through the medium of musical theatre and bring to the audience. I mean, this show was written and performed, just a few years after the war ended, when segregation was still rife, was still huge across America, especially in the southern states, and obviously the production deals with issues of race and extremely relevant today, even now, and that's just because of the amazing writing at the time and the kind of forward-thinking attitudes of Rodgers and Hammerstein. So,
yeah, it is fantastic, and it really struck me as kind of just like this really important musical. And you've hinted at the fact that your director Daniel Evans has kind of brought it up to speed and brought it into the kind of modern era. Could you tell us some more about how he's quite done that?
Well, obviously the Asian characters in the show have been sort of revisited from what you might expect if you become very well versed with the film version. So there's a character of Liat, a young girl who doesn't really speak at all, and they've cast an incredible dancer in the role who basically dances her language, which is obviously very powerful, and we get an insight into her entire world through dance that you wouldn't otherwise have, which is very clever, I think, and Annie's choreography is obviously impeccable. And then Bloody Mary, the character who's normally known as sort of the happy talk, sort of 2D, slightly stereotyped sort of caricature in most productions, has become Joe Ample's extraordinary performance. A sort of dual-sided, really multifaceted character that has this one side where she's a mother trying to do the best for her daughter, and the other side, which is the businesswoman trying to, make money and sort of fleece the GIs. So yeah, on that level, I hope that we've brought those characters into the 21st century as much as we can.
It is great to watch, and you mentioned the dancing as well. It is quite many beautiful scenes come from that kind of concept. It's great. And if I could just ask personally for you and your character, is there any kind of bit of direction that Daniel gave to you that you keep in mind whenever you're going to do on this show, like anything that stands out especially?
Daniel just goes through every single line with a fine-tooth comb.
Right.
So we sit, even when we did the show in Chichester last year, and we rehearsed for 5-6 weeks before that. But when we came back to do it in London, we didn't just kind of put it on again. We went through it all over again.
Oh wow!
Finding new stuff, finding new ideas. We went through every single line, just working out our intentions. Everything that with Daniel is to do with intentions. So, what are you trying to do? Yeah.
Now, also, you yourself, Gina, you are picking up these classic shows on your resume like there's no tomorrow. You've done Les Mis, Phantom, Wicked. You're in South Pacific currently. Are there any more kind of dream roles, or have you done them all?
Well, I don't think I've done them all, but I'm sort of leaning towards maybe hoping to be in The King and I one day.
All right.
It's not really been on my radar, obviously, because I was so young. But now that I'm getting on a bit, I'm thinking
that's all.
Thanks, Callum. So that's obviously another Rodgers Hammerstein beauty. In terms of modern musicals, I did always quite fancy being in Dear Evan Hansen. Obviously, I know it's closing now, but and Come From Away. Those kind of shows, really beautiful shows that I feel that there could be roles in there for me. But we'll see.
Yeah, they truly are. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to West End Best Friend. I do have one final question before you go, though. And it's a question that I ask everyone that I talk to, because I just love the kind of insight it gives into the people I speak to. And it's, what is your favourite musical? But the catch is, you can't have been involved with it.
Okay.
So you've got to perform.
My favourite musical is definitely Miss Saigon.
Oh wow, you had that locked and loaded, didn't you?
Yeah, I always used to listen to it when I was a child, but also, and now obviously I get to work with Joanne Ample, who I was listening to on the symphonic recording. But I just think the music, and I love Madame Butterfly, the opera that it's based on. Mm-hmm. But then the story is so heart-wrenching, and the music is perfect.
It's fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful show. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful answer, and thank you once again for talking to West End Best Friend. It's been great to speak to you.
It's been lovely to speak to you too.